Thank you very much, Grant. I mean, first of all, I want to thank everyone coming in today. I mean, I heard I didn't attend, unfortunately, the last two sessions, but I heard there's so many people across the world coming and joining us today, and people are still joining us. As a co-host, I'm saying that. So thank you very much. First of all, I'm in Toronto. My name is Yuri Curumthaully, and to Josephine's question, my ethnicity, I'm a Mauritian. I live in Toronto, been living in Toronto for the last 10 years, but I am originally from a little island on the east coast of Madagascar called Mauritius. Some of them refer this to Paradise Island, so it's really close, in an Indian Ocean, close to Madagascar. So it's fantastic seeing so many people here today. And we're going to talk today and write today. And I'm very excited to be able to be speaking with you and leading this
Stay away
session.
from there.
And just some few housekeeping, as Grant says. It would be great that you have everyone on mute as much as possible. So just not to interfere with people speaking, people want to voice out their opinion. And second, Grant will be our moderator this evening, and he will be monitoring questions, messages. If you have any technical difficulties, you can just use the messaging feature on Zoom to ask him about question. I am sharing my screen. I will be very interactive session today. And what I propose in the next hour and a half is some writing sessions. And first of all, I will start to introduce you why I picked this topic, how I met anthroposophy, and how me meeting anthroposophy was related to writing. We're going to have three writing different exercise, and I hope that you have pen and paper handy. And if you don't, I would suggest you that you can write on your own laptop, which is fine.
What do I do?
I still hear someone speaking, Grant.
Yeah, it's Richard. I've been muting him, but he seems to be experimenting. So if you can stay out, that would be really good. I'll mute you again, but somehow you continue to unmute yourself.
Okay, thank you, Grant. And we are hoping to have breakout rooms. So Grant will be the designated room breaker for this session for today, as usual. And he will be making us into small groups where we'll have a chance to break out. And as Lois said, get to know each other and get to know a bit of our international community as anthroposophists and students of anthroposophy. And just to begin, I would like to introduce you to today's talk. Now, why writing? I just want to go back into what writing means to me, how anthroposophy transformed writing, and how Steiner is helping me to write better. And I want to go back to a few years back when I started having an urge to write about nature, and it was such an inspiration. It was an inspiration of nature to start writing. It was an urge that I personally could not stop writing. There was nature speaking to me and my hand urging to write about nature, whether it was leaves, whether it was animate object, I had to write. So I was facing that battle of why nature, why writing as a medium? Is there a relationship between nature and writing, between thinking, feeling, and the act of writing that I was missing? So I started digging spiritually the reason why I wanted to write. What was I writing about? And after my spiritual research, I found out and I met Grant, who's like, Yuri, whatever you're writing about nature, that makes sense. It is anthroposophy. Read the knowledge of the higher worlds. You will get to know how the basic exercise can help you. And through that, I came into peace with writing. Writing became more from an exercise of thinking and transformed to an exercise of feeling. And through the act of writing, I rediscovered the spiritual beings. I was able to connect my writing to different parts of nature that I never knew existed. So today, I'm very glad that I'm able to share that with you, but through an anthroposophical light. Each one of us, has different way of expressing themselves, whether it is through writing, whether it is through reading, whether it is through speaking. But writing has a very special part for each one of us, and I'm hoping for those three, I don't want to call them basic exercise, but three carefully selected exercise, we can revive, we can find something that we probably have lost inside of us. Or for those who start to write, maybe there's a way for me to start writing with the spiritual forces. And anthroposophy for me was important because it revived me that there is nature speaking to us through inspiration. There while we're writing, but always speaking holistically. There's always an image that evokes a certain feeling, and from that certain feeling, how can we transcribe it into words? And what really helped me to be able to consciously do the act of writing was Steiner six basic exercise. First one was the exercise of a thinking. How do I control my thinking? And how every day I was able to control the act of thinking into a specific object and be able to think about that object in for 5 minutes. So I started to think about an object and starting to write about it. What does that object mean? What it feels to touch it. And what I found really, the transformation of making an object alive through writing. And it has helped me grow spiritually because we are now able to differentiate between the living matter and the non-living matter through the act of writing. And I just want to share this code with you as I proceed to the first exercise about how the act of writing is something that is accompanied by various experiences. And I love making and I prepared this this metaphor for you because it really transformed for me what was writing. And when I think about a net, trying to go fishing with a net, and the net serve a purpose of catching fishes. And the same way I think about words, about writing. What purpose does words carry for us and its meaning? But in that net, but in the word of meaning, there is a sea of consciousness. And that sea of consciousness for me and for me is the spiritual word. How can we craft meaning out of writing from the spiritual word? So today, I've carefully selected three exercise that we hope to be doing together. I'm gonna explain the three exercises back to back. Grant, after writing down your specific exercise, we're gonna break out into room and share this experience of writing into groups, come back as a group, maybe debrief as a group, and start writing again for the second exercise. Now, I do see what we have quite a bit of people, and Grant has a number of people with him. So we're gonna probably break down shortly. But let's first explain the first exercise of today, which is the spiritual experience. Now, a lot of people define spiritual experience differently, whether it's through, I've got an inspiration, or I got a dream about a spirit, or I've met someone that made me spiritually connected. So for this exercise, we will try to write about a spiritual experience, whether it's recent, past one, whether it's something that we have recently experienced in our dream, in our day-to-day life, our inspiration, and start writing it on paper. And for 2 minutes, for the next 2 minutes, we're going to start to write about it. So the first 2 minutes is about a reflection, taking the time, putting images into thoughts, into thinking, for 2 minutes. And for the next 2 minutes, we want to try to transcribe this image, this thinking of a spiritual experience into words. And I think whatever you write, whatever words you write, whether it's 2 words, whether it's 3 words, let you be guided by your will. Let it be free flowing. And when you have 2 minutes to write, at the end of the 2 minutes, whatever you write, Grant will be shouting and breaking you into rooms. And this is where we will get a chance to speak as our own experience into the breakout room. And from then, we will be able to share a group experience. So first experience today, we're going to talk about the spiritual experience. Grant, I still see people coming in and out, but I think it's fine. But I want to carry on with exercise. And just as an inspiration, I thought that I would share a verse that really inspire folks to watch about the spiritual experience. Grant, would you start the timer for the first writing exercise? What we're gonna do as a recap again, we're gonna take 2 minutes to think about a spiritual experience, 2 minutes to write about it, and then we're gonna go in our breakout room for 5 minutes and discuss about our own experience and come back.
So if I can adjust that a little bit, Yuri, I think
Yes.
it'd be better to give us 10 minutes because we're going to have breakout groups of 4 to 5 people. So for a chance for everyone to be able to speak a couple of minutes, if we give them a full 10 minutes in the
Perfect.
breakout room, if that's all right with you.
That's totally fine, Grant. Thank you for, I've not seen so many people coming, so I was seeing 2 screens, but yes, I don't know how many screens we are at, but thank you, Grant. We will have 10 minutes as a group to share.
Watching the chat room, I don't see any questions right now. If there is anyone, of course, there was the question about how long the breakout rooms will be, 10 minutes. Are there any other questions before we go into the breakout rooms? Questions for Yuri? And the question on chat, what do you mean by a spiritual experience?
Yeah, I think, yeah, I've readdressed that question again. And I'm going to return back the question for people because I think it's very subjective what a spiritual experience would mean to someone. And I can speak for myself, can be an inspiration for me. For some people I've seen it's an image for them. For other people that can be a writing, a spiritual writing. And for you, it's whatever transcend that human being who you are, that connects you to the spiritual world, would be that spiritual experience for you. Maybe Grant, you can answer that question, but I think that's what I think a spiritual experience would be for some folks.
Not at all, Yuri. This is definitely your show, and I'm happy to be following along. So I'm about to open all the rooms, and they'll be open for 10 minutes, which you can share among the 4 or 5 people in your group. And then I will announce 1 minute before the rooms are going to close.
Thank you. I was very quick. We didn't have a chance to finish. Richard was sharing his own story, but you were right, Grant. Time flies, and we may be for next time, folks. Grant, are we having the same people in the same breakout rooms? Is that what I'm?
That was your goal, and I believe we can largely achieve it, and we can certainly extend the time as well if you wish.
Yes, I think it would be a great idea because in our own group, we were able only to share with 2 folks only. So maybe it's let's extend probably the next exercise. Before moving to the next exercise, I think this is very powerful what we are experiencing. Even myself, I was struggling to get the words to write. And I only written 3 words, but those written words were enough for me. So I think I'm hearing a lot of people, Marie-Louise, Jennifer speaking about I need more time to write before going to the breakout rooms. So let's have more time to write, folks, for the second exercise, Grant. And maybe before letting people in the breakout rooms, Let's have a timer for at least, I would say, 3 minutes for people to write, think, if that's enough, and then we're gonna break out into rooms to have a sharing experience. Is that okay, Grant?
Makes sense. Yes, I jumped too fast. I'm trying to make sure breakout rooms work. This time.
Absolutely, and I take hours to write as well, even like one line. But you know what I want this what we want this exercise to be something which is free flowing. If you write one word or even two words, it's about really transcribing that experience and share it as a group. It's trying to put this thinking into writing. So we will give more time. Absolutely, let's have more time. And once I start speaking about the exercise, explaining to it, feel free to start thinking and writing about it as well. So the second exercise, I think someone asked a question, what are we writing about? So the second exercise would be about nature. We started with a spiritual world. Let's go to the natural world. Let's think about a natural experience, an element of nature, leaves, tree, seed, something that is close to us in nature. Let's think about what that nature natural element means to us. Let's start thinking what it can bring to us as an emotion. Let's start thinking about it for 2 minutes and then let's start to write about it. And as Josephine said, there's no need to write one paragraph. It's one sentence is enough. It's one word is enough. And if you don't want to write about something and maybe even just describe your experience, that would be enough. So let's have the next 3 to 4 minutes to start speaking to start thinking about that element of nature we would like to reflect and write on. For me, what I would do, what I'm doing right now as an exercise, Amelia, I'm thinking about an experience I had with nature, something that is close to me with the leaves. And what does that leaf mean to me? Is it how I describe nature? Maybe for you, Amada, it can be something that when you go to work or the background behind you, evokes something natural. What is that natural feeling I have around nature? How can I describe nature in words? Um, what element of nature is close to me? Is there a leaf? Maybe there's snow around where I live. Maybe there's wind. What does wind means to me? What does snow means to me? Where is it coming from? Does that help? Okay, absolutely. Animals is a big part of our kingdom of nature. Thank you, Walter. And let's start thinking. I wish I had some pictures of nature to inspire folks, but I think we folks around the world are close to nature enough to think about something that may evoke a feeling of nature. So I will have 2 more minutes, folks. If you can start writing and prepare to share, will be great. I see so many smiles in the on from the background, which is fantastic. I'm glad you were able to share your experiences. This time we were able to share each of the experiences. And folks, if you need more time, please let me know for the next session. We only have one more writing exercise before we come together as a group. What was fascinating for us in the group is that we were all coming from a different area. And our experience of nature was so different because folks were saying that, oh, it's too much snow for me. And I would look outside, there was not enough snow in Toronto. So it's fascinating to be connected to different folks tonight, which have different experiences of nature, of weather in the same room. So was fascinating to see. Folks, if you wish, we want to move to the third and last exercise of the day. So we talked about spiritual experience into writing. We talk about how nature connect to us through writing. Let's speak about us. How do we connect to writing? And for this exercise, I'm going to be uh, more precise. We're going to be writing about us in the third person. And what I mean by that, I'm going to speak about Yuri as a stranger. So Yuri was feeling very much stress before going to this session because he didn't know what he would see. Was he prepared enough for this talk? Was he be able to maintain the last two sessions of Rob, which was fantastic? So all these thoughts were going through the mind of Yuri as going through that chat. But Yuri now is feeling much better, seeing the smiles and sharing all these people sharing their stories. And Yuri wants people to start reflecting about an experience, any experience that we had recently. Maybe it can be an experience that was amazing with someone else, with a member of the family. But Yuri wants you to start thinking about experience in the third person. And when you start writing as a third person, use the pronouns that you would pick for you, and use something that relates to you as a third person. And the way to do that, it's thinking about you as a stranger coming in your room, having that experience of a room. What would someone think about me? What would someone see when I come in your room? What is my It's kind of an out of body experience, experiencing yourself as a stranger. So let's take a moment, let's take 2 minutes to reflect on a personal experience, a recent experience, something that has marked us this week, something that we want to take as an experience, but detach ourselves from it and write about it as a stranger. Any questions? Is that clear? And we're going to give you again 3 to 4 minutes to write about it. I know some folks have started to write, which is fantastic. So let's start to write about an experience, the way I've shared it with myself about how I experience something as a stranger. It's so powerful because Steiner, in the knowledge of the higher world, prompts us, if you want to do a spiritual exercise, to tackle us, face us as a stranger. And this, for me, for writing, has been revealing, has been powerful. Let's share that as a group in the next 5 minutes, but let's take some time, folks, to start reflecting. I'm going to remain silent because I don't think my voice is an inspiration for you to write. So I'm going to stay quiet and for you to start writing.
Does it have to be an encounter?
It can be an encounter, it can be a personal experience, it can be something between you and yourself in the room, anything, but it has to be as a stranger. It does not have to be an encounter, but something that you experience as a stranger. I know that can be very challenging to face ourselves as a stranger, but let's make a conscious effort to write about what we think we are and what our movement is. And I love describing myself as I walk in a room. What is my unique gesture when I work? And something that I love to write about myself in the man in the mirror. So let's have 1 more minute, and then we're gonna break out in the group with the help of Grant, and we're gonna come back to the same room, the same folks. I think we are making friends today, so it's fantastic. It was very sad to leave this breakout room this time. We made some really good connections, and looking forward to speaking to my group again. Wish we had even more time now. That's the last exercise. Very sad, but I still waiting for folks to come back.
And we're done. All are closed.
All the breakout rooms, folks. Love seeing. I don't know why I've loved seeing the smiles when people come back from their breakout rooms. It makes me feel that lots have been shared and it was a good experience. So keep smiling, folks. This helps me a lot, as I can't hear you, but I can see your smile, which is fantastic. Um, So this debrief was great, and I think for our group, if you don't mind that I share, because we have a debrief for the last 15 minutes. There was someone in my group which allowed me to share their experience. Was really it's the experience of reading Steiner, right? Most of the time when people read Steiner, there's a particular paragraph, a particular sentence that we don't understand. And how do I battle with the unknown? A lot of time, what has worked for them and what worked for many people is writing it down. And when you write Steiner's words down, it has shown that spiritual beings will give you inspiration to be able to transcribe what it means, what that means to you. That third person experience is very important to get to know us as a stranger. And what was revealing for her as well, it helped her overcome the fear of what she probably won't know. It helped her overcome the fear, like, all right, I know, but like the same way you experience difficulty writing in the third person, but you know that when you write something, you're gonna face it. You know that when you write something, something is gonna come out of it. And it's kind of that space where I usually go when I don't have answers. Can I write something down? Can I write a Steiner quote? Can I write a verse when I'm reading about Steiner? And this is where we give spiritual beings a chance to be able to answer and help and guide us through the spiritual world. And for me, it has been relieving. And for the people in my groups, we had a similar experience where writing as a third person is challenging, but is worth it. So for the last 15 minutes, I would like to get to know you and I would like to get to know your experiences today. I'm going to try to an experiment that I think Grant would be regretting, but it's a survey and an experience that I want to try with you online. Okay, today the first question I'm going to ask is, where are folks from? Where are you listening from? You can just simply type your answer. This is fascinating. This is great, folks. So we have folks around the world. We have lots of people from the States, people from Canada. I love it. Romania, hi. Beautiful. So folks, this is such a wonderful group of people joining us today. Different timeline. So it's a great community we are building. So what were your feelings while writing today? Just, maybe if you want to write, for folks that cannot write on Menti, they can write it on the chat box on Zoom. What were your feelings while writing today? In one word, as much as possible. Describe your feeling in a word. Settle. I see most people were relaxed, which was great. So the bigger the word, the bigger the frequency of people answering that. So which is fantastic. I got what I love about it is that people have younger. It's amazing. Flow, settle, and seeing still answers coming, right? So it's making me feel dizzy a bit. Saying that's great, which is great. It's great. Walter, so I was speaking to have, give people a multiple choice, but I think having a free flow, it keeps coming. People are still writing, and I think it's fascinating, Walter, how many people think was unable to edit. I love this. I'm gonna keep that if you folks are okay with that. Such a different, it keeps coming experience about writing. So thank you very much for sharing all these feelings. So which exercise did resonate the most with you, whether it was spiritual exercise, writing the third person, nature writing, or all exercises? I think that was my last question of the day. Maybe I want to finish on this last question as well, as a final thank you to writing today. So what did writing offer to you during exercises? Meaning that the experience of writing, what it offer you personally? So it's different from the first question because this is your feeling, And I'm asking you, what did writing unlock into you today? What did writing offer you as a gift to you? What did writing bring back to you? Was it something specific? Can be a word, can be, for me was, yeah, for me was probably clarity as well. But what did writing offer to you today writing this exercise? Thank you very much for sharing what writing offered to you and sharing as a group. I know it's very unconventional not to ask people, but to see what people write. So I hope you enjoy that over people reflection. And just want to end by, with a quote and saying thank you very much for participating in this exercise today. And whether it, as you probably see, whether it's the feelings of certainty, the feelings of relationship to writing has somewhat changed for you, can you bring back to the spiritual world? Can we use writing as a method of spiritual exercise to confront ourselves as a stranger, to connect with nature, and to understand our spiritual experience? So we hope that for these exercises today, we have revamped or gave you some tools or some way to think about writing and to reconsider writing as a way to start the basic exercise. And I want to really thank you for your participation. And it was very hard to write and confront ourselves in writing. But I hope that it was useful and efficient. And I want to thank everyone to staying that night and missing the Super Bowl to be able to write today. So thank you very much.